Al Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Sotah Daf Lamed He Amud Aleph 35a1. We're just going to start on the last line of Lamed Aleph the Mubed Yeshuvu Mitu Haaretz. So after 40 days and 40 nights, they came and they returned from spying out land. And they came in front of Moshe and Aharon. Amar Rav Yochanan Mishum Yochai said Rav Yochanan Mishum Yochai Maki Shalicha Lebiyah. When it says Vayelechu Vayavo, they went and they came back. It's making a juxtaposition between the way that they went and the way that they came back, which means just like they came back and they had a bad plot, they had a bad plan to come and start saying Lashon Hara and start doing all this balagan. So to Alicha, when they left to go there, they also had a netzara. They also did the same thing. By Sapru, they had the bad plot as well. By Sapru lo vayomru banu, so they come and they start saying, look, we came to this land. Right, look at this land that they're so strong. So they come and they actually say, they were speaking about the Shevach of Eretz Yisrael, which means even though they wanted to say the negative, they first started with the positive, which that's what you usually do. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, okay, there's going to be a siman, emet levado leviyah, mishum Rabbi Meir, kol lashon hara shemot dvar emet b'tchilato, em yitkeim b'sofo. If you have any lashon hara that you don't have anything true at the beginning, it doesn't exist. Meaning, if you only come with falsehood, nobody will accept it. Right? It just doesn't make sense. So if you have to start with something of truth, and then you could come and you could start with all the exaggerations and all the falsehood and everything else, but you have to do something of truth. But Yahas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe. So Kalev kept everyone quiet. Amar Rabba says she'sitam bedvarim. He actually did a trick. Patach Yoshua de kamishtaeh, because Yoshua started coming and speaking against Maglim. Amri le, they said, Den Rosh Ketiyah Yemalel. This Rosh Katua, this cut off head, he's going to speak. Meaning, can Yoshua even Bichlal speak? He doesn't have any children, right? So what? So they quieted down Yoshua. Meaning Yoshua wanted to speak. They shut him down in 2 seconds. So Amar comes Kalev and he says, Im yishtaina, if I'm going to speak, Amar biminta, they're also going to, and I'm going to say something. Again, they're going to do the same thing. Chasmili. Amar laer, I'm going to say, he asked the question. This is the only thing that Moses did to us? Everyone thinks, shh, what else did he do? They're going to think that he's going to speak in the negative. So he comes in, so they thought that he's going to speak all the negatives. Everyone kept quiet. Then what did he say? Right? So what does it mean? All of a sudden, instead of saying all the negatives, he poured out all the positives. He said he took us out of Egypt. He split the sea. He gave us the man. So if you're going to say now, if he's going to say, go start making ladders to go up to the heaven, lo nishmalo, we're not going to listen to him. We could go up. We could go up on ladders and we could go up to the heaven. For sure, we could do all these things. Fine. Then it says, right? So the people that were with him, they're going to say that we can't go up. He says, you know what they said in that moment? The Menaglim came and they said something incredible. He comes and he says, what does that mean? When you learn the word mimenu, it's yoter me'anachnu, more than us. But really, mimenu is really more than him, than HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kiviyachol, afilu balabait, and even the balabait cannot take them out of there. So therefore he comes and he says, it's not going to come and it's not going to help. What does it mean that it's going to be a land which is eating, right, its inhabitants? That Rava comes and he says, I was mitkaven tova from the Menaglim because I wanted that the people should be dying out. And if the people are dying out, they're not going to notice. That means basically I was making them a cover. But they come and they're saying, that it's a land that it eats its inhabitants, which means it kills out its inhabitants. Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I'm doing you a favor. And you're coming and you're telling me and you're saying something bad, right? By the way, you should know, but that's nature, right? It's something incredible. You don't know how many times you come and you do a favor to somebody, and then they come and they turn around, you're like, I was just doing you a favor. But they don't realize that. Every single time that they kept on going somewhere, somebody who was very chashuv died, to do, so therefore they're going to be busy. And they're not going to start asking, who are you? Where are you guys coming from? What are you doing? They're going to be busy. And some people say, Iyov died. And everybody was busy in his bed. They went and said, We were like grasshoppers to them because they were so big. And that's what we were. The Meraglim, they're shakranim. It's good that they could say that we were like them to Chagavim. That makes sense. But that's what we were in their eyes. How do they know? Meaning, I could say the way that I look in your eyes, but I cannot say the way that I look in your eyes, right? Because I'm not in your mind. I don't know what you're thinking. I didn't ask you. So says the Gemara, right? Velohi, but it's not true. Right? When they used to come and they used to be mevrim the avelim, right? They used to do it underneath ilanot of eres. So when they saw the meraglim, right? Salku yat vebilane. They went on top of the trees, right? Because they were afraid to be there. Shamu de they actually heard that they were saying so they went and they said, look, we see like people we were seeing like grasshoppers in the trees. Meaning that they overheard the conversations of the people there saying, look, we have like little grasshoppers in the trees, but they look like human beings. Yeah, that means that's why they say that's what we actually looked in their eyes. Yeah? So everyone started crying. Right? It was Tisha B'Av. They were going to cry in vain. Meaning, sometimes people come and they say, you're crying for nothing. I'm going to give you a reason to cry for. Right? That's the concept. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you guys cried for nothing. I'm going to make sure you're going to cry from now on for this. Right? So everyone said, we have to stone them to death. Right? What does that mean? They took stones and they started throwing it to the Shamayim. Kilu to the Shechina. Which one? Well, here it's mashma a lot of people. It's kol ha'eda. Yeah, so all of a sudden a magifa came and they died. They had a they had a terrible death. These 10 people, their lashon became longer and it went until their tabur. So there was worms coming out of their tongue and it was going inside of their tabur. They were coming out of the tiburam, out of their belly button, and going into their lashon as well. So it means mamash was like midah keneg midah, like to show them that they were speaking lashon hara, and it was going right, and it was going until tabur haaretz. So remember that the tibur, the belly button, is the center. Yeah, you guys listening? The belly button is the center of the human being. Eretz Yisrael is the center of the world. Right? This is actually proven in the fact that out of all the countries in the world, Israel is usually almost always in the news. Now, if you think about it, Israel is so small, you could hardly see it on the map. Same with all the different countries, it's much smaller than all these, other places. You don't even hear about them. You don't even know where they are, Bichlal, many times. Right? But Israel, it's the center of the world. Right? Not only just in the map, if you're taking the map flat and you put it in the middle, not only that, just it's the center. It's always in the center. So he says that's why it's called tabur haaretz. So midah keneg midah, they did lashon hara. So their lashon went until their belly button, until their tabur. And the worms started coming out from the lashon, going into the tabur, going out of the tabur, coming into the lashon. So show them that it was midah keneg midah. Nachman ben Yitzchak says, metu. They died from COVID. Yeah? Askara is basically like a type of a chenek. They can't breathe. It's a thing that they can't breathe. Yeah? So he says, once the last person came into the Jordan River, so then all of a sudden, all the water came back down. So 1 second, so he comes and he says, what happened? Are you going to tell me then that the Aron and the carriers, which were the Kohanim, are going to be on one side of the Jordan, on the east side, and all the Yisrael are going to be on the other side? Right? So what's going on then? Right? So it means basically what happened was that all of a sudden, right, they were on the left side. Like, I mean, the two different sides of the Jordan River. What's going on? So and on this, Uzzah was punished when he moved the Aron from Kiryat Yarim to Yerushalayim during the times of David. Because he went and he took the Aron and he could have fallen. Atzmo kol sheken. He says, do you think that you have to carry the Aron? The Aron carries its carriers. It's not going to carry itself? Meaning, what? You think that you have to grab it in order that it doesn't fall? Like to support it? You don't have to support it. It supports itself. You don't have to do anything. Right? And that's what Hashem be'uzah. So Hashem was angry at Uzah. So when he hit him there, Rabbi Yochanan says, one says, Al iske shalu, on the shegaga, which means he forgot the Kiddusha of the Aron and he grabbed onto it. That he had to go to the washroom in front of the Aron. Here it says that Kilu, that if I remember correctly, that he was, it's like a chutzpah, whatever it is. The kavanah was that, he wasn't careful enough with the kavod of the Aron. Some people actually say that he was trying to protect it, that he didn't want to leave it by itself, but whatever the case, it's fine. So then Uzzah died in Aron Elokim. Rabbi Yochanan, Uzzah ba leolam haba shneimar, im Aron Elokim. He actually went to Olam Haba. Ma Aron leolam kayam, just like the Aron was always going to be kayam, because it was put in Genizah, and we don't know where it is. Afuzah, so to Uzzah ba leolam haba is also going to come to Olam Haba. Hechal so David HaMelech got upset, means his face became like all, much like gechalim. It became right like gechalim. So we're going to ask the following question: are you going to tell me then that also whenever it uses the term vayichar, it just means that his face became like a charada, like an uga which is cooked like a coals, which means that it's like his face becomes black. That's what it means. Or he got very, very angry. But what does that mean? That means basically because he was suffering that Hashem killed Uzzah. So he says no. Hatam ktiv af. There it's written vayichar, right? It says over there. When it's written the concept of yichar af, so then it's bemet kaas, right? But when it says it doesn't say af, and it just says vayichar, it just means that the face became blackened, right? Like the gechalim. So Darash Rava says, why was David HaMelech, right? Why was it that through David HaMelech that Uzzah was killed, right? Because David HaMelech called Torah a song. שנאמר, זמירות היו לי חוקיך במגוריי. אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, דברי תורה שקדו בעיניי, תעיף עיניך בו ועינינו. The words of the Torah, that it's written on them, that if you close your eyes, it's going to go away from you. אתה קורא אותן זמירות, you're going to call them זמירות. הריני מחשילך בדבר שאפילו תורה קדושה. I'm going to make you make a mistake that even children know. יכתיב, as it says in a pasuk, ולבני קהל לא נתן, כי עבודת הקודש. What does that mean? They didn't carry the agalot of the Masa, right? Why? Because נשיאת כלי הקודש, which is the Aron, so it's mefurash in the Torah that it has to be davka carried on your shoulders. And he put it in an agala. So the fact that he went and he said that the Torah is like a zemirot, it's like songs, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you think the Torah is a song? It's not a song that you just learn lyrics and that's it. It's mamash, you have to learn Torah. So therefore what happened? He made a mistake on something that even children know. Children know that you have to always carry the Aron with your shoulders. Here you put it on a wagon. Therefore, he was punished. He says, what? Because they saw they were hit? Right? What? Just because they saw it? So he said, that they were in front of them and they didn't even stop their melacha in order to respect it. Right? They were, they're continuing walking and doing the melacha, and then they're giving kavod to the Aron HaKodesh. One of them says, Milenami Amur. Right? No, what does that mean? He comes and he says, they were saying zilzul about the Aron. Lamed Hamul Bet, 35b. Man Amraich, the Imrite. So who was the one that got them so angry, right, that they didn't save it from the Shevi? Man Ata Lach Tepeyast. And he came to appease you, right, that you're coming. Which means that's what, like, it was a zilzul for the Aron. That, who got you angry, as if to say that you didn't save yourself from the captivity, right, because it was taken into captivity, the Aron, right? Or we're talking about over here, right, we're talking about to appease them. So it says over here, right, this is the onish of the people of Bet Shemesh, that what happened was that HaKadosh Baruch Hu first killed 70 people, and then afterwards, 50,000 people. So what's going on then? How does that make sense? You're telling me 70, and then you're telling me 50,000. There's a huge difference. No, it was only 70. But each one was like equal to 50,000. Right? When I said, no, there were 50,000. But each one was shakul like the Shivim Sanhedrin. So there's a big difference between them, really, meaning like who actually died. Was it 70 people or 50,000 people? But is it the 70 people were equal, that each 70 was equal to 50,000? Or there were 50,000 people that died, but each one of those 50,000 was equal to 70 zikanim of the Sanhedrin? So they were walking 6 steps, and they came and they started bringing shorumri, be'emot, and they came and they brought shiva fari, v'shiva elim, 7 bulls and 7 rams. So what does this mean? Every step they brought a sacrifice, a shor, an ox, and a mri. He says al kol, right? Al kol shesh v'shesh psiot. On every 6 psiot, he brought shiva parim v'shiva elim, because there was a contradiction, right? Mri is a be'ema mefutemet. It's like an animal which is fattened. So the stira is it says that on every single step, right? Or then it says 6 steps, David HaMelech was bringing shor umri, and then it says that they brought 7 parim and 7 lim. So once again, decide, is it one animal and one shor umri, or is it 7 and 7? So he says on every single step, shor umri. On every 6 steps, right, it was the 7 and 7. Elmaleh Rav Chasa says, if so, mileta et kol Eretz Yisrael bamot. You just made the entire Eretz Yisrael full of bamot, mizbechot. Because how could it be that every single step you're bringing a sacrifice, and every single how do you call this? And every single 6 steps you're bringing another one? What's going on? No, he said no. On every 6 steps they brought one sacrifice, one short, one muni. Okay, on every 6 steps. Every group of 6, so 6 times 6. So you have every 6 steps, one sacrifice. 6 times 6, 36. That's where they did the 7 and 7. That's how they did it. Okay, Ktiv, it's written Kidon, as it says, Vayavo ad Goren Kidon. Uchtiv, and it's written in Sefer Shmuel, Vayavo ad Goren Nachon. What is it? Is it called Kidon, or is it called Nachon? What's going on over here? So Rabbi Yochanan says, Vatchila, at the beginning, right, when the Aaron was brought there, it was called Kidon, because it caused the death of Uzzah. Because Kidon is like a chanit, it's like a romach, it's a spear. So therefore it caused the death of Uzzah. But at the end, it was called Nachon, because it actually made it the house of Oved Edom, right? Which means that they brought bracha and they brought everything. That means at the beginning it was like something not the best. But at the end, it became the biggest bracha. In Tzeta Taomer, so it comes out, right now we're going back to what we spoke about with the Yarden, right? In Tzeta Taomer, so it comes out, that there were 3 different types of stones. Echad sheiki Moshe beretz Moav. One of them, the Moshe Rabbeinu put during the time of Moab, right? The one he told them to bring stones. Okay, Shneimar et haTorah azot. Ulhalanu omer, and there it says by Haravel v'chtavta la'avanim, you're going to write on these stones. It's called divrei Torah azot. Ba'eretev ve'atya ba'ereber, which means you have a gzera shava from Be'er. Ve'echad shekim Yoshua b'toch Yarden, and you have the ones of the stones of Yoshua and the Yarden. Shneimar shebes avanim ekim Yoshua b'toch Yarden. Tacha matzav raglei hakonim. Ve'echad shekim beGilgal, and one in the Gilgal. Shneimar ve'et 12 avonim ha'ela shelachu. So you have 3 different groups of stones. One by Moshe Rabbeinu and 2 by Yoshua. One by Yoshua by the Yarden, one by Yoshua by the Gilgal. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, Ketzad katvu Yisrael et Torah. How did they write the Torah on Harival? That one of them they came and they plastered, and another time they wrote the entire Torah. Which seder, right? Did they do that? So Rabbi says that Gabi Avanim katvu. Really, they wrote on stone. Shneimar katav Avanim kol divrei Torah zot. Right? Ve'achar kach, and afterwards sadu otam b'sid. They put it on top of the katav. They put lime. I guess it was to what's the word? To make it everlasting. Strengthening. Which one? Strengthening it?
I think so, no?
Yeah, it was like there's a terminology, I forgot what it is. Basically, they're coming, they're like it's like laminating it. Like nowadays, what do? You want to make a photocopy, then what do? You want to make it last longer, you laminate it. Something very similar. So the lime was like a lamination. It's like you're doing it in a way that now it's going to stay for long term. Amar lo Rabbi Shimon, says Rabbi Shimon, according to you, Hechal amdu umot haolam Torah. So how could they learn the umot haolam from the Torah, which is written on these stones? If the entire purpose of the Torah on these stones was in order that it should be for every single nation, and that's why it's written ba'er hetev in all the different languages, right? So if they're going to do that, but according to you, once you're covering it in line, you can't read it anymore. You understand that it's it. You know, what are you doing then? Amar lo bina yitera natana b'hem HaKadosh Baruch Hu shigron notiron shelahem v'kilfu et hasid. Right? What happened is that all of a sudden HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them bina yitera, that they sent Sofrim and they started peeling off from the line. And then what happened is that they were able to see the Torah from the line. And that's why they get Geinam, Shelem Lilmod, Velo Lamdu, because they could have learned from the Torah and they didn't learn from the Torah. Meaning, they wrote it and then they covered it over. Now, if you cover it over, you can't see it anymore. The line is covering it because it's not see-through. When I said laminating it, usually, what does lamination do? It's transparent, so if you could actually see right through it.
Is white.
And you could say, seed, right? You're covering it over. You can't see anything anymore. So what are you doing? So they had to carve it out, and that's what the chutzpah that they had. They carved it out. They were able to see it. Shimon says the seed katvu, the opposite. On top of seed, they wrote the Torah. The katvu lahem lemata, and then they wrote at the bottom. The man asher Elohim do etchem lasot kechol asher tovatam v'chulei halamata shim chozim b'tshuva. So it comes out that if they were actually going to be chozeh b'tshuva and they were going to fulfill the sheva mitzvot b'nenoch, the goyim mekablot otam, they would actually accept them, and therefore they could live in Eretz Yisrael. They're going to be considered ger toshav because the goyim that they come and they fulfill the sheva mitzvot b'nenoch, they're allowed to stay in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Bar Shila says over Shila. My time the Rishimon was reasoning over Shimon that they had to write it with seed, with line. It says vayu ami misrefot seed, which means the kavanat hakatuv is to hint that in the future the umot are going to be burnt aliske seed because of the seed. So since they didn't learn Torah, they could have learned Torah, and the Torah was written on seed. Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, what's the kavanah of Yeshaya? He says ki seed like seed. Mas seed no takana l'sirfa. The only way to get rid of lime is you have to burn it. Okay. So the same thing. As long as they're not going to the kutim, if they're not going to convert, they're fitting to burn in Geinam. So what does it mean when it says and then you're going to find the Neshet Patoar? The Shavita Shivyo, what is extra? Right? Just what does it say? Right? So he says, Lerabot Knaanim Shebechutz Haaretz. We're talking about the Knaanim of the 7 nations of Chutz Haaretz. Shim Chozim B'Teshuvah, if they do Teshuvah, Mekablim otam, we're going to accept them, and therefore we're going to actually come and accept them into the Jewish nation. As when we accept them in the Jewish nation, they're not Jews, but we won't kill them out.